Time to go viral. You guys remember UMBC becoming the first 16 seed to knock off a 1 seed in March Madness? Well, their men's lacrosse team knocked off #1 Albany and Shunker Khan. They went to Twitter to brag about the win. Check out this exchange. So they tweeted at Alabama football, "Hello." So Alabama responded, "What's good?" So UMBC wrote back, "Just saying hello. We're having some fun with #1 teams lately. We don't have a football team, though."
Good for them, man, because I was worried if they did have a football team, they'd have some 210-pound D linemen like, "Hey, Twitter hand guy, trying to get me killed," playing these guys at Bama.
And for those wondering, in Maryland, wow, how could this team be so good? Well, Maryland is probably the capital of lacrosse in the United States. So there is an abundance of great lacrosse players on the East Coast.
Absolutely. Up the Memorial. What's the holiday coming up? Memorial Day or Labor Day?
Sure.
I get them confused. Memorial Day is coming up, I believe.
Yes.
That's when the lacrosse Final Four national championship is. You guys should watch that. It's exciting. It's fun. Syracuse usually involved. I covered lacrosse back in the day, CC. You don't know that about me. It's a great sport. Good for UMBC.
It's always a good day, Chris, when we learn something about Nick that we didn't know yesterday.
Yeah, we hope we never hear about lacrosse the rest of this TV career.
Whoa. Exciting.
Time for some stories
Jim
to start
Brown,
your
bro.
morning.
Best lacrosse player.
Yeah, you're right. Yesterday, Patrick Reed clinched his first career major, winning the Masters in his Nike Hot Pink. Entering Sunday, Reed held a 3-shot lead, and then yesterday he played unevenly but was able to hold on by shooting a 1-under par 71. CC, what did you make of Reed's performance yesterday?
Tremendous performance. And not only him playing golf, but the pressure with the best players in the world. If you look at the leaderboard, no one was ranked higher than 27th in the world coming down the stretch. So not only did he have to play his best golf at the greatest golf tournament ever in the Masters, but he had the best players in the world chasing him who were playing their absolute. Very impressive that he was even able to have some type of faults there at the end, but able to overcome them with the birdie machine. He had an amazing 4 days.
Amazing 4 days. Couple things. One is very early in the final round when it looked like after 2 holes it could be even. Rory had played well. He had faltered on the first 2, and then he was able to withstand that, and Rory fell by the wayside. Then at the last 2 holes, when all of a sudden my guy, oh gosh, with the funny pants, the guy who came in second place, Ricky Fowler, pardon me.
Yes,
Ricky
him and Jordan
Fowler
Spieth made a run for it.
Spieth made a run, but then when Fowler's on 18, getting ready to go in the clubhouse at 14 under, Reed's on 17 with a super long putt for birdie that looks like, man, he could bogey and we could be tied going into 18. He almost holes out that really long putt for birdie. Ends up
He was very, very
fortunate
that they hit the stick and hit the hole.
Oh, it would have gone far.
Yes, it would have been tied up.
And then to be able to par 18, I mean, it was great. The way he closed, knowing he had those putts for the Masters, was great.
It was a great tournament. The Giancarlo Stanton era in the Bronx is off to a slow start. Over the weekend, he became the first player in over 100 years to go hitless with 5 strikeouts in 2 games in the same season. The first player to do anything in 100 years? Kind of a big deal. Stanton is batting .167 with 20 Ks in 10 games. He's currently on pace for 324 strikeouts. CC, what do you make of Stanton's struggles? Should we be worried this early?
Anytime you make the transition, even as a veteran player coming to New York, we've seen him have other big stars come, and they've also struggled. It's hard to play in New York. It's not just a myth, not just what people talk about. It's hard to play. And let alone, this has been one of the worst winters ever. And I got someone that lives with me that reminds me of that every single day. It's cold. It's too
cold
for baseball. All right? It's too cold at night. Like, it's too cold. He came from Miami. I believe that that's had an effect on the batting average being so low.
All right, so a couple things. Another transition, National League to American League. It's another thing that he's having to deal with. Also, anyone that followed him in Miami, one of my favorite radio shows is a local Miami radio show, so I know an inordinate amount of the Marlins. Like, he would go through these streaks. He would go through these types of stretches and then catch white hot for a month or so. That's what happened last year, by the way, when he caught white hot and almost got 60 home runs. What I will say is this. To do anything that's never been done, hadn't been done in a season in 100 years, and you've done it before we're 10% of the way through a season, that ain't great. And I know what Yankee fans are doing right now. They're like, so what's on his contract? Don't worry, Yankee fans. All that's left on his contract is 9 years, $270 million. Say that to say this. I think Stanton's going to be fine, but he has to be fine because he's got $250 million and a decade left on his deal.
Bigger takeaway, you're listening to local radio stations from Miami in your spare time?
Yeah, I am. I'm
I got
dedicated
to
to my
talk to
job.
Danielle.
Okay.
The Eagles won their first Super Bowl, and they are now resting on their laurels. So far this season, they've added Michael Bennett, Mike Wallace, Haloti Ngata. However, according to reports, some anonymous NFL execs are not impressed with the moves. NFL execs can be so anti-move. CC, what do you think of the Eagles' offseason so far?
I really don't put too much credence in what ex-NFL anonymous guys like are saying because I'm watching Philadelphia. I know they're improved. Forget about just the moves they made. Bennett makes them better. Bringing Chris Long back makes them better. What about Carson Wentz coming back starting? That makes them better. I know Mike Wallace makes them better. And just in case, Nick, you didn't have confidence in him, Nick Foles as your backup.
Yeah. Listen,
I mean,
there's
what else you want from a Super Bowl
champ? There's nothing to
champ?
criticize with Philly. They're taking advantage of having their star quarterback on a rookie deal. Torrey Smith was fine. Mike Wallace is an upgrade. Vinny Curry was fine. Michael Bennett is an upgrade. They didn't even lose Fletcher Cox or Brandon Graham, but they still brought in Haloti Ngata. And
let's not forget the collection of starters that they lost to injury that will be coming back. Jordan Hicks, their middle linebacker.
Yeah.
Jason Peters, their left tackle.
100%. Listen, there is one bad part of the Philly offseason, and it's the one thing this anonymous exec totally ignored. That's losing Frank Reich. But that's going to happen when you win a Super Bowl. They almost got away with it. They almost got away with not losing Frank Reich because it only happened after the Josh McDaniels situation. But all their player personnel moves, to me, have been spot on. And it's not even like there's a lot of noise surrounding them. I don't know how you can criticize what Philly's done over the last few months.
And the team that won their Super Bowl gets a franchise quarterback to start next year.
I wish we had the name of the team that this executive came from so I could look at his roster
Right.
and compare him to the Eagles roster.
Yesterday, back to basketball, the Warriors beat the Suns. However, the team hasn't been playing well, the Warriors, that is. 9-7 in their last 16 with only a few future Hall of Famers in the lineup, not all four. Also, head coach Steve Kerr criticized the team's defense and effort last week. Nick Wright, what do you make of the Warriors' performance without Steph?
Man, maybe I've overstated how good this team can be, at least in short stretches, with KD, Clay, and Draymond. I pounded the table. I said, they got no chance of losing in the first round, even if Steph's not out there. Well, the way they've been playing, these 16 games without him, 7-9, a losing record since while he's been gone in this long stretch of time. He played one of those games briefly and got hurt again in it. That's concerning for them. It doesn't seem to me to be a flip to switch type of thing. It seems to me that the team doesn't know how to play elite offensive basketball without Steph. And what they had been doing earlier in the year, CC, when Steph was out, was playing super elite defensive basketball. That's fallen by the wayside somewhat as well. They just look like a regular, pretty good basketball team the last month. That's something we haven't seen from this team in years.
Right. You can't make anything without Steph being there. What other superstar could leave a team and be like, oh, they're okay? LeBron left the Cavs? No. No, it wouldn't happen.
But every other team is not built like this one.
Well, that's why it's my turn to talk, Nick. Okay? This team I'm not concerned about. They're also going through a little boredom. All right? Been the 3 straight finals. They're obviously broke the NBA record as far as wins in the regular season. Yeah, they can be a little lethargic, but we've seen this with other teams, and we gave them that grace period. You know something? They'll be all right when they get to the playoffs. You know what? They'll be all right when Steph gets back. That's the way the team was made. The team is not meant to play without one of their 4 superstars.
All right, over the weekend, the Cavs were down by 30 to the Sixers, almost mounted the comeback of all comebacks. But LeBron missed 2 free throws late. In fact, he's shooting 8 for 17 from the line in the final 10 seconds of one-possession games this season. That's the worst percentage in a season in the last 20 years. Nick, what do you make of LeBron's struggles at the line?
So that stat is at least slightly skewed because a few of those were intentionally missed. But there is no doubt about this. This year, LeBron, clutch free throws, has been not only the only weakness of his offensive game so far, but one of the biggest weaknesses of any superstar's offensive game that we've seen in the league. Those, even if we want to get rid of the couple intentionally missed. So now it's 8 for 15 or 8 for 14. That still ain't great. That's still not what you want there. And so this year, that is a fair criticism of LeBron. Now, I reject the idea that that is some overarching theme of his career. In the last decade in the NBA, there have been two game sevens in the NBA Finals. Both of those game sevens ended with LeBron James hitting the game-winning free throws. Like that, you don't get more pressure-packed than Game 7, game-on-the-line NBA Finals. LeBron James made free throws to win those games or to ice those games. So historically, I don't think this is a problem. This year, those numbers aren't lying. Like, you saw it, and it's hard for anyone to go to the line and make 3 in a row to tie it, down 3, a second left. What, see?
It's hard for who?
Anyone.
For an NBA player?
Yeah, what do you think?
It's hard for an NBA player to go to the line with 3 shots. All he's got to do is make all 3 of them to tie up the game. That's what you're saying.
What I'm saying is if you're an 80% shooter, you have a 50% chance of doing that. That's what I'm saying. That's simply a fact.
I mean, I didn't know that they were moving the free throw line. I didn't know they was going to move the bucket. It is a free throw.
Yeah, I understand.
And of all the superstars in the league, you would have confidence they were going to the line. They got fouled for a 3. There might be a reason why Philadelphia fouled him there.
No. They weren't trying to foul him on a shot for 3. They were trying to foul before he took the shot. Like, at no point did they want him to shoot 3 free throws. They were arguing.
So you're saying there's everyone in the NBA, they haven't seen this stat. So you're saying it's not in the conversation. They're up by 3. We can foul LeBron. There's a chance he could still miss one. That's not part of the overall psyche.
I'm saying that no team, no matter who the guy is fouling on the shot up 3 intentionally. I don't care if it's Shaquille O'Neal trying to pull up from 3. No team would ever foul on a shot intentionally. They were arguing about it. And the NBA actually came out afterwards and said it should have been called on the ground. They were definitely trying to foul LeBron, but they were trying to foul him so he had 2 free throws.
This is the thing, Jenna. This won't go away. Because if you're ever going to continue the conversation, is he the greatest ever? This right here is going to be one of the glaring holes. His finals record and his free throw shooting, he will never be able to approach Michael Jordan. So then it becomes very, very hard, like, what's your argument? Because especially free throw shooting late, it is critical. And you wouldn't expect someone of his ability to struggle at the free throw line.
Tell me why you struggle at the free. I mean, is it mental? It has to be mental because it's a shot that you can practice for 24 hours a day. It's always going to be the same shot. How does LeBron let one mental thing seep into his game?
Okay, hold on a second. Hold on. The guy is not a great free throw shooter at any point in the game, right? He's around league average. That is the biggest. If we're talking about picking apart the game, which we're going to do if we're calling somebody the greatest ever or one of the greatest ever, it's a fair thing to pick apart. He's around a 75% free throw shooter for his career. A 75% shooter in those situations, instead of being 8 of 17, would be 12 of 17, right? So we're talking about 4 missed free throws. 2 of those were intentionally missed. So we're talking about 2 missed free throws, far from his career average. So the mental part of it, I personally don't buy into. I mentioned the most pressure-packed free throws of his life to win championships he made. But I wanted to go back to something Chris said. Go ahead, Cecil.
Free throw shooting is 2 things. One part is mental, Jenna. You are right. It is mental. Other thing, it's his shooting stroke. All right? He's changed his shooting motion at the free throw line at least 5 or 6 times during his career. He's working with something else different now. He's taking 1 step off the free throw line, then getting up. And talking to someone who I know is a great shooter, LeBron's motion, he brings the ball from down by his knees, so the reaction on the shot, he gets a big bounce. Compared to other guys who start a softer motion about from right here at their face and just shoot the free throw. LeBron brings the ball down by his knees and brings the ball up. He believes, because I discussed it with him last week, he believes that's his problem. So, yes, it is mental, because when you are shooting from the three-point line and you can shoot the array of shots that LeBron can shoot, contested, one balance, bank shots, shooting with his left hand, it becomes mental, but it's also the fundamental thing of his stroke at the free throw line. He does not, this is something he has not conquered. He shot thousands of free throws, but this part he has not been able to overcome.
I agree. Yeah. I agree with that entirely. The point that I was making is it would be more concerning if LeBron were a 90% free throw shooter and then had these late game struggles. It's been a fair knock on him.
But it's a greater sample size. The 90% would cancel out the clutch because you were like, man, over the course of his career, he's 90%.
Yeah.
Like,
it would be more glaring if a guy who's a great free throw shooter, if this were Steph, it's more glaring. Like a guy that's a mediocre free throw shooter, which is what he is, struggling this season late in games is not that shocking. It's not an excuse. I said it's the biggest indictment on.
I'm just going to tell you, there was nothing about Michael Jordan's game that was mediocre. There's no point in his game, anything. Passing, there's nothing you could say that was about his game that was mediocre.
All right, we're
I'm willing to take on any type
Well, his three-point shooting. I mean, you don't want to have the debate right now, but his three-point shooting was mediocre. Like, we don't have to go into an MJ LeBron debate, but don't say that. And then, like,
okay.
I mean, the three-point shooting was mediocre.
No problem.
Speaking of athletes who may or may not have let the mental game seep into their game on a large stage, here's what the Masters looked like in my house this weekend. Every time any player teed off, my 3-year-old said, "Did Tiger win?" Every single time, because that wasn't annoying or anything. Tiger did not, in fact, win. He didn't come close, but he did finish the last day at 3 under par, and he finished the tournament, first time he's done that in a major in 3 years, and he'll be ranked in the top 100. So he finished tied for 32nd, was never really in contention after the first day. More from Tiger Woods now after his final round.
It's been a couple of years. I've just been coming here just to eat, and to now be able to play this golf course and to be able to tee it up and play in the Masters. This is, one of the greatest walks in all of golf, and I had missed it for the last couple of years. I hadn't been able to play in it, so to now go out there and compete in this tournament and to, face the challenges out there, I missed it. I really did. I missed playing out here. I missed competing against these guys. It's such a great event, and the best run event in all of our sport. I want to take a little time off, just get back in the gym, start working on my body again, get it in good shape, and get back at it again.
Obviously, I love that in his time off, he's going to go back to the gym. I think I stopped listening after that. What was your takeaway, CC, from Tiger at Augusta this weekend?
It was a monumental week for Tiger. And Tiger talked about, even when he was helping out with the President's Cup 7 months ago, they didn't know he ever played golf again. I mean, competitively. Like, would he be on the PGA Tour? He didn't know that. So to see him make the cut at the Masters, play 4 rounds, not re-injure himself, not have any type of setback. And then also the relationship. Tiger's a different person. He's a totally different human being. He's far more approachable. He's far more into where he is right now in his surroundings. Typically, you would not see Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson together. They played a great practice round on Tuesday. You could even see him on the course yesterday. I've walked so many rounds with Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods does not talk to his competition. Even if it's someone like Mark O'Mara, he's very seldom even talking to him, and that was one of his best friends on the tour. So seeing him chat it up with Rafa yesterday, that's something he wouldn't do. So where Tiger has come from to be able to get into the Masters and be able to finish tied for 32nd, it's tremendous. From a golf standpoint, didn't hit his irons well, didn't putt well for 4 days. His last day, he's got his driver, we can hit it straight. That becomes very, very important. Next major is the U.S. Open, where the driver is probably the most important club in the bag besides the putter. So monumental return to the PGA Tour this last month, because it's not just this weekend. It's all the other tournaments he's played leading up to this.
Tell me if you agree with this. What was most surprising to me about the 4 days in totality, not just Sunday, was the iron play. Like, he had been so sharp at the Valspar and then the Arnold Palmer. The only criticism of his game at those 2 tournaments, the fair criticism, was his driving accuracy. He was spraying it everywhere. To see the irons desert him to a degree over those 4 days. And then Sunday, he said it, and I totally agreed with him. Like, Sunday, he drove it as well as we've seen him drive it in years. Like, is that fair to say? Like, since he was Player of the Year in 2013, like, he drove it perfectly, nearly perfectly on Sunday. And what's shocking about Sunday is, I mean, he had a 3-putt inside of 6 feet. He had a couple other easy birdie putts missed. He said after the round, I shot a 69, and that was the worst score I could have had. Like, it seemed like he could have easily shot a 66 on Sunday. Now, that wouldn't have got him in contention, but, like, is that what you saw? That's what I saw. That was the iron play is what surprised me more than anything.
Yeah, he drove it off on Sunday. He drove it off number 1, hit it in there about 4 feet, and then lipped the putt in and out. So he was going to try to have a monster round. The first one, he lips in and out. His driving was to perfection yesterday. And being able to do all these things under the gun is what will carry over for Tiger going forward, because he hadn't played in the major, which he had mentioned in those years. And to be in the weekend, around the spectators, around the other golfers. I believe this is where you want to see Tiger Woods. You can see from the enthusiasm, people watching the tournament, golf is totally different when he's involved.
Tiger shoots 73, 75, 72, and 69. So it was a good way for him to finish. And now, like you said, he'll take a little time off, figure out what happens next. Coming up, can the Thunder make any noise in the playoffs? It's next on First Things First.
It was one of our favorite guests joining us.
Baseball Buzz, Monday.